as I say, the left is struggling here. Even though they thought they had a lot of momentum, a lot of impetus on the gun control issue, they've blown all of that by alienating so many Americans. And you wonder, why is it that they're doing that? Right now, there's a rather unpopular Republican president by polling numbers. Trump today was tweeting out that he's doing really well in the Rasmussen poll. You can't cite one poll. You have to cite the poll average. The poll averages tend to be pretty close. And for all those people who said in the last election cycle the polls were wrong, no, certain polls were wrong. The national poll average was exactly correct. It had Hillary Clinton winning by anywhere from 3 to 5 points. She won the national popular vote by about 3 points. Okay, that is not a suggestion she won the election, but it is a suggestion that national polling on average is pretty good. Okay, the national polling average for President Trump is not very good. And yet Democrats are still struggling. Democrats may not win back the House. Okay, every time it seems like the Democrats leap out to a big lead, that lead immediately begins to recede because Democrats are so extreme. So what exactly is driving the extremism of the Democrats? Why can't they just sit there and say, listen, we don't like Trump. You don't like Trump. Nobody likes Trump. Vote for us. Why isn't that their platform? Why isn't their platform, we just want to be more moderate and provide a check on the president? This is what parties normally say in years when they are not in the White House and it's an off-year election. Why can't they just do that? The answer is because there's a deep-seated instinct on the part of some folks on the left that does not like what America is. Does not like what America is. And not just points out problems with America, but thinks that these problems go straight to the heart of the country and in many cases are unsolvable. So there's a really fascinating piece over at The Atlantic by a guy named William Barber in the Martin Luther King issue. And he talks about the real crisis that is ailing America. And here's what he says. He says, 4 diseases, all connected, now threaten the nation's social and moral health. Racism, poverty, environmental devastation, and the war economy sanctified by the heresy of Christian nationalism. That's some pretty extreme stuff. That's some pretty extreme stuff that William Barber is putting out there. It says, since the 2016 presidential election, when white rage propelled a candidate endorsed by the Ku Klux Klan into the White House, racism has been more prominent in public life. If you really think that Trump won because he was winking and nodding at the KKK, no. If you recall, I shellacked him on the air when he refused to condemn the KKK. And then, of course, he came out within 24 hours and condemned the KKK, not because of me, but because Trump knew that this was an unwinnable battle and he had said the wrong thing. And so he moved on beyond that. Okay, but the left is really ensconced in this vision of the United States as a deep, dark place. Okay, in a second, I'm going to explain how deep that vision goes and why it bodes ill for their electoral prospects. So here is what this article says. It says, again, 4 diseases all connected threaten the nation's social and moral health. Racism, poverty, environmental devastation, and the war economy. First of all, racism in the United States was at an all-time low before the election of Barack Obama. It was actually declining, and then Barack Obama was elected, and he decided to polarize people for political gain based on race and ethnicity. That was a problem. Poverty in the United States. Okay, if you think that poverty in the United States is the chief problem crippling the United States, you do not have any global perspective. The poorest people in America are rich by global standards. According to Pew Research, 9 out of 10 Americans are rich people by global standards. 9 out of 10. The number of people in the United States living in extreme poverty by global standards is significantly less than 2%. Okay, environmental devastation. Where is this environmental devastation that you're talking about in the United States? The environment has been getting better for decades. I live in Los Angeles. The entire city used to be covered in a thick blanket of smog. The environment has been getting steadily better in the United States for years and years and years. And the war economy, what war economy? What war economy? Where exactly is the mass spending at World War II levels? A war economy, normally you're talking about 40% of GDP being eaten up by the military. Right now, you're talking about 20% of the American budget. Forget the GDP being eaten up by the military. And that's a fairly normal percentage for American history. But here is what William J. Barber contends. He says, all of these are the real sicknesses in America. He says, the question is not whether politicians condemn hate, but whether they promote the policy agenda of white supremacy. Since 2010, we have seen an assault on voting rights in numerous state legislatures, which the Supreme Court exacerbated in 2013 by gutting a crucial provision of the Voting Rights Act. Again, this is incorrect. The crucial provision of the Voting Rights Act had the federal government overseeing states based on maps that were drawn in 1965. And the Supreme Court said those might be obsolete because it's 55 years later, guys. And this is apparently gutting of the Voting Rights Act. The states that attack voting rights by using partisan gerrymandering, discriminatory voter identification requirements, or a rollback of early voting and same-day registration are also home to the lowest wage, the severest poverty, the greatest hostility towards immigrants in the LGBT community, and the deepest cuts in education funding. Politicians who try to suppress voting are using their power to hurt the poor and the working class, white, brown, and black. There is no effort in the United States to suppress the vote. None. In 2008 and 2012, the black percentage of the voting base significantly outperformed the black percentage of the population. The number of people who were black who voted as a percentage was very, very high in 2008 and 2012. They didn't show up for Hillary Clinton in 2016 because Hillary was a garbage candidate that no one wanted to vote for. And this is what the left can't accept. The left can't accept that Trump won. And so that means America is bad. Every time a Republican wins, America is a terrible place. Every time a Democrat wins, America is a wonderful place. America is a place of hope and change. It's amazing. The homeless just disappear from the news. You notice this. Every time there's a Republican who's president, the homeless reappear on the streets. Just like magic. There were no homeless until Trump was president. There was no poverty until Trump was president. No racism until Trump was president. We were living in an Edenic age. And then the original sin. Hillary Clinton lost her bid for presidency of the United States, and that was the end. America was now enmeshed immediately. Like a light switch. Trump takes office in January, and boom, environmental degradation. It's like Logan's Run, right? The entire country is being overrun by vines. We're killing our old. The young are being left out to die in the middle of the wilderness. It's Soylent Green. We're feeding people to other people, but packaging it as potato chips. This is the way that the left actually views the way that the world works. Trump was elected, and they have gone off their rocker. And this is why they're having such trouble gaining credibility with the American people. Because even if people don't like Trump, they can look at Democrats and say, you know, you keep saying things are so crazy and so terrible here, and they're really not so crazy and so and more importantly, it's not that you're saying the situation in America is bad. You're saying the people of America are bad. Because when you read that again, there's no way to read this without seeing a significant amount of anger at people in red states. Those people in red states are just rubes and morons. Those people in red states are corrupt and evil. Those people in red states are immigrant haters. This is a deep perspective in the Democratic Party. It's what Hillary Clinton has been saying when she goes abroad. America's a sexist, racist place. The intersectional politics being pushed by the left, this stuff is not going to work. Okay, this stuff is not going to attract people in the United States to voting Democrat. It's just not going to happen. And the fact that the fact that folks on the left don't understand this is a particularly good reason why they could possibly not do well in the midterm elections when all the indicators would be pushing in their favor. Okay,